intuition and experience and confidence, all of those combined together make a very strong player, but also a very strong Magnus Carlsen, knowing when to use it. Also get out of his own head. Of course, yes, the first game hurt a little bit, but he was able to bounce back. Now everything's cool, calm, and collected. Even playing field with 3 games to go. Sorry, actually, 2 games to go in their match. Whoever wins two and a half, wins the match here. Back to the women's as we have game 3 about to start.
Yeah, and this is not just game 3. This is going to be game 4 as well. And game 4 is happening regardless because the match is tied. 2 draws to start off. It is 1-1 right now. That means we are guaranteed the next 2 games regardless. If it ends 2-2, we will have Armageddon. And we are ready for game 3 to start. It's been very peaceful so far in that last game, although we're jumping between matchups here in open and women's. But in the last matchup we saw between Bibisara and Anna Muzychuk, it was actually a mistake from Bibisara, but ended up in a draw anyway. So it has been very even between the two.
Very even indeed here. And now we were able to take a quick break. They were, the women, able to take a break. And now get back to play their games. Maybe a quick refresher, maybe check in some lines, knowing what colors they have, see what they might play, and what could actually happen. Here we go. Gather yourself. Game is about to start.
And a reminder, a win is so meaningful in this one. Mm-hmm. Contrary, even though the score is the same, contrary to the other final in the Open, we have draws here. There's been no first blood, but there has been wins on both sides between Magnus and Norderbeck. So here, whoever wins that first game, it could end up being the winner of the overall match because there have been 2 draws so far, and clearly these women are very evenly matched.
The first win sometimes changes everything, so it depends on who gets that. And if Bibisara is able to win with the black pieces, she does have a dynamic repertoire with black that is going to put Anna in a must-win situation. But if Anna is able to overcome some of the tactical shots and some of the theory that Bibisara likes to play, maybe by playing something unorthodox or something different, will be a different story here. Put Bibisara on the back foot. Let's see what happens.
Well, we have the same colors again, remember, from that game number 1, where we saw Anna Muzychuk and Bibisara just reciting theory for us. It's probably up to Anna now to do a bit better than that, right? So I assume that we're going to see something different. And what's interesting to note, James, as we get underway, is that this is the game that the most preparation time has been available for the players because we got to swap to the Open. So let's see if they've prepared something specific for this one. And we can already see the difference in the position. Bishop takes the knight on d7 for Anna Muzychuk has changed the opening.
Change it up a little bit. Like this knight a3. Takes, knight takes, and b3. Get some pressure on d6. Develop the bishop too as well. Rook to d1. Can hit the queen with tempo here. Bishop e3. See if she goes for that. Slight think already.
Yep. I was going to say, yeah, bishop to e3. You have to be a bit concerned about pawn takes on c4 and maybe some of the pins that can result. White decides to capture on b5. I suspect we'll see a takes b5 here because you generally want to maintain your bishop pair, and bishop d2 is the move, aiming to go to the b4 square with the bishop, I would assume, while this knight can reposition into the center, and you want to blockade that b pawn and put pressure on the d pawn.
It's annoying because the d pawn is backward here. It's very normal in these type of Sicilian. Do you have a d5? That is some frisky stuff there, but probably not because e5 is hanging. But we do have to deal with rook d1. I mean, it's coming. You can definitely feel the pressure of the d6 pawn.
Yeah, e4 has also been targeted. I imagine we will see rook e1. It's possible to defend this pawn in a bit of a strange way, perhaps with an idea like rook c1, but rook e1 feels very natural. The other move to consider is knight d2, although I would assume that rook fe1 is the better move to begin with. Note that the pressure on e4 means that if you play rook e1, you can't really bring that knight to e3 because then you would disconnect the rook from defending the e-pawn. So maybe in that case, you could try knight d2, but it feels, James, like black is going to castle, play rook d8, and eventually get that move d5 in, and that will be a game changer if it happens.
Yeah, a natural and normal type of knight or for Sicilian play in these type of positions, or even Sveshnikov. When you get this pawn on d6 backward, it is good to actually try to get something on d4, a piece, or breaking with d5, getting rid of the weakness in the backward pawn, also activating my dark square bishop on f8. Anna, on the other hand, is really kind of stopping that whole idea, getting ready to trade the dark square bishop if you do push on d5, and also attacking the weakness of the d6 pawn. But we do see rook after e1, very nice move, defending e4, maybe bringing the other rook over next, rook a to c, or rook a to d.
Yeah, it's important to play this move rook a to c1. And if we see castling, for example, there is this idea of knight takes e5. So I just want to highlight that if you castle, the bishop on e7 does fall victim to this pinned d6 pawn. And that is the reason why black's position is not just completely obvious. And, well, we actually see knight takes e5 here. It is the move that needs to be played. Very important to see that. Let's see if it gets played here. I assume that with the theory that both players have displayed thus far, that this will absolutely be played. But as I say that, no, not at all. I don't think I'm missing anything, and I only say that because I saw the blue arrow supporting me. We all need a blue arrow in our lives sometimes. Knight takes e5 was definitely a missed opportunity there for Anna Muzychuk.
I think she was a bishop e4, believe it or not. Like tactically, that kind of works, kind of, because like knight takes e5, bishop e4, and now you like rook takes e4, rook c1. So I'm like, okay, I guess she probably glanced at it and was like, you know what, and knowing the player too, like, no, I don't want to go down this tactical skirmish of stuff. But knight takes e5 was a move. I was curious what happened on bishop e4 after that. Maybe like queen g3 or something, and then that could get
No, that's exactly right.
But, yeah, very spicy.
A3, knight c3, getting those pieces out. As white, you do at some point want to make an escape square for the king. Same for black, but without that knight takes e5 move played, you see the knights are kind of retreating. The good thing about white's position is the bishop blockading on b4. But again, the moment that black achieves some sort of break, like the d5 move, the open position will favor the bishop pair and will also favor black's pieces that are all clearly waiting for d5 to happen.
Yeah, and stopping it. Bishop f8, so ready to play d5, but you can't put anything on d5 yet. d5 is going to be really strong. Maybe knight b3, d5, knight a5. That is some scary stuff. Queen e2, I like. Getting out of the off the d file. d5 is going to be a very crucial break, and she knows it's coming.
H6, we see f3. Now, white is probably looking to play knight f1, knight e3, trying to control that d5 square, but ultimately it belongs to black. The move d5 can happen at any moment. f3 makes the move knight h5 more tempting to me. First of all, it makes it possible. The queen is no longer attacking, but also the dark squares are a bit weaker, and if white starts playing g3 to stop knight f4, I think mission accomplished with knight h5. Those are going to make the white king a lot weaker in this position, and knight h5 is played. I agree with this move, and I think g3 is a move that you don't really want to play with white, but of course you have to stop knight f4.
It's all happening too as well, the whole knight maneuver. d5, we was waiting for that. Here it goes. Everything is opening up.
Rook takes e5, rook takes f8, excuse me. The move chosen takes on d5 with the knight, and the bishop is going to dominate this board here. White can play knight d2, but James, this position is so much better for black. Yes, e5 is hanging, but so is f3 and the a2 pawn as well. Bibisara has the edge on the clock and on the board, but we saw the opposite in the previous game, and it did end in a draw.
I mean, look at the bishop. Look at the bishop I have. Like, it's such a strong piece in the center of the board. I have the open C file. I definitely like black's position. Engine does too as well. Rook C2, as you're pointing out, looks really strong. Hitting B2, pinning. I mean, it's an automatic move almost. She plays F6 though.
Yeah, just not liking the hanging e-pawn. I do think that at this point, you have to start cashing in some advantages. And one of them, I think just bishop takes a2 needs to be played. We are concerned about knight d6, but that's a call an ambulance, but not for me after queen b6 check, which would be a fork. So I don't know that bishop takes e4 is the best move, but still the idea remains the same, to win the pawn and advantage to black.
Okay, we kind of saw this before already. It was like, what was it? It was the other way around, actually. Other way around. And it was up the pawn.
Yep.
Similar position. Queen, rook. Very evenly matched, I should say. It's getting very similar positions than before in their other two games.
Offering an exchange of rooks here. Queen endgames are always so tricky. And usually they offer very decent drawing chances. Also a rook endgame. So the queen and rook offers better winning chances, but just queens or just rooks becomes much closer to a draw. So let's see what happens here after queen d4. Notice how Anna down the pawn is not going to be looking to trade queens pretty much under any circumstances.
Yeah, now we have to try to Magnus them. Easier said than done. Bring the king around. Bring that
Hang
king
on.
up.
This is
Queen d2 check.
a huge blunder. A terrible move, just blundering the pawn. And there is probably not. Wait a minute. Is this a draw?
Yeah, it's a draw now. No way of getting out of these checks.
I'm wondering how forcing this was. And I credit Anna for coming up with a great way. I actually want to take a look at this so we can bring it up on the board for everyone. This was very clever by Anna. Let's take a look. Bibisara and Anna reviewing the game, and actually credit to Anna for coming up with this idea of the blunder that turns into a forced draw. Getting excited about the position for a good reason, but not for the move played. So let's have a look. Why is the blue arrow pointing out queen d2? It is the best move here. However, we need to play something different here. And in this position, the king on h3, James, is actually safely placed, and queen b2, this is a forced draw, and we saw it displayed perfectly by Anna on the board. So queen c5, while it allowed this is not the way that Bibisara was supposed to continue playing. So to continue from here in a proper way, Black would have to play a move like queen to d3, controlling this diagonal. So a false alarm here, as the move queen c5 is actually a lot more clever than it is a mistake. So I completely take it back, and actually a great move from Anna Muzychuk from a practical perspective. Now, I think after queen d3, Black has a pretty sizable advantage because the f3 pawn is very difficult to defend, and there are no checks on the diagonal. That being said, practical game, who is not taking the pawn there, and it works out to be a perfect, almost repeat of their previous game with the extra pawn turned into a misplay and a draw.